Hello. I wanted to do a video on the latest installment of getting into nursing school. I just got done today taking the Kaplan Nursing Entrance Exam. So today I took the Kaplan test, and it is similar to the TEAS test with a lot of differences, and I'll go into that. The first thing you have to understand about the Kaplan test is it is 165 minutes. It is broken up into 4 separate parts, and the order they go is reading. It has 22 questions with a time of 45 minutes. Math has 28 questions with 45-minute time. Writing has 21 questions, and I believe it's 45 minutes also. And science has 20 questions, and I think that's 30 minutes if I remember off the top of my head. The thing that I really am impressed with the Kaplan test is the fact that, for example, with the math portion, they put any of like their word problems, similar, kind of getting you ready to think along the NCLEX line. When I say that they'll give you a math problem, they'll put you in a scenario based, like you're the care provider, you're the nurse, and you have to figure out how much medication somebody's going to get. Don't overthink about it. It's just the wording of it. Basically, you're going to be doing math work in fractions, so don't overthink it. When I took the TEAS test and I had word problems, they were stuff along the lines of you're running a farmer's market and all these bushels of apples have been picked, and they give all these different kind of fractions, and you have to kind of put them on an even playing field, put them together, and come up with the total amount of bushels that you have for your problem. One of the big differences between the TEAS versus the Kaplan test is the TEAS test, if I remember, the answers are A, B, C, or A, B, C, D, E, whatever. I think it's like A through D, or maybe A through E. On the Kaplan test, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, which was easier. I don't know. Maybe it's this mental thing, but to me it seemed easier to do like 1, 2, 3, and 4 for an answer. Science part had a lot to do with anatomy and physiology. That's all it based itself on. There wasn't anything like organic chemistry or physical science or anything like that. It was all like anatomy and physiology and pathophysiology. So if you haven't taken those before you actually take the Kaplan test, make sure that you do 1 and 2. Be familiar with the different systems without saying too much. And kind of don't overthink some of your answers. With the reading part, the one thing I did appreciate with Kaplan versus TEAS is Kaplan was all oriented to science topics. So when you were reading the things, it either had to do with like anatomy and physiology or physical sciences, versus when I took the TEAS test, it was based off of like historical data. Bear's making an appearance. So that was one thing that I did appreciate with the Kaplan versus the TEAS test. To the Kaplan test, one of the things that drove me nuts was the way that they have like their sticky buttons or the responder buttons. And when you first log into the test, it has like a geographical demographics page of 9 questions. They'll tell you like how to get through the test, but when you got like test anxiety and you're focused, you tend to forget the little details, and it happened to me. What ended up happening is I took the initial demographics test, got all my information in, and at the very bottom down here, there was buttons, and it said like go back, forward, home. I forgot what the other one said. I think there was like 6 of them. And then the 2 over here, one says in session and one says in test. When I finished the demographics portion, the forward button was grayed out, so you couldn't click it anymore. So I went over there thinking that they were considering like the demographic information as a test per se. And they don't consider it a test, they consider it a session. So do not click in test, because that will knock you out of the entire, it will grade your entire test even though you've not gotten into anything. So that was a lesson that I learned. We had to go through customer support and get the school to reset it. So everything worked out for me, but that was like one of the biggest annoyance that I noticed on that test. Pros. One of the pros for Kaplan versus TEAS test is on the math portion. They have, on the TEAS test, they have a calculator that is approximately the size of a business card, if not smaller, that populates on the screen, and it kind of sits like in the middle of your stuff. You can kind of drag it and move it, but as you're trying to work on your stuff, it's like over your data. So that was kind of annoying, and it was very small. When I say that, it was so small that you couldn't enlarge it to kind of like look at the numbers and work the buttons, because you had to use the mouse to work the buttons. So it was hard for like somebody like myself that wears contacts or glasses that day. It was just a little bit more of an eye strain trying to see it. And it was horizontal. The Kaplan is actually vertical, and it's larger in size, and there's actually, the buttons are different as far as like the keypad was colored, so it was like blue, so it kind of contrasted to the page, which I really appreciated when you're trying to write on paper, do that, and click the button so you know that you've clicked the right ones. I did consider the Kaplan to be a little bit easier. On the Kaplan test, they have something called the critical thinking portion of the test, and I had a hard time finding out information on it. What I'm about to tell you is my own deductions. I don't have any valid research. I don't have any valid information from the company or anything like that. But as you go into the test, you do the demographics, which is basically your name, your sex, your race, your location, your level of education, how long you've been out of high school, that kind of information. And then you start into the test. And again, it's the readings first, the math, the writing, and then the science. The critical thinking portion comes through, and I'm assuming an evaluation of how you did, how quickly you answered the questions, how accurately you answered the questions. That's what my deduction is on it. So when you're actually done with the Kaplan test, you're going to have 6 scores. You're going to have, one score is going to be your overall score, which I'm assuming is like a median score over everything that you did. The next one's going to be the reading, the math, the writing, and the science, and then at the bottom is going to list your critical thinking. And again, the only thing that I can deduct from it is it was going off the amount of time that you took to answer the question, how accurately you answered the question, your time management skills. That's where I'm assuming is where they're getting that data from. I hope this video helps you, kind of helps you, guide you in like what to expect on the Kaplan test. Oh, study guides. One of the things I'm going to tell you, and one of the things that's been recommended to me as a whole, is don't buy the Kaplan study guides. The practice test may be, like the online practice test may be great. I didn't take those, so I can't attest to those. But the Kaplan book just didn't cover what I thought would be on the test. I did stick with the books that I had for the TEAS test, and also my reference sheets and stuff. So hopefully that can help you. I will put them in the description bar, and I also tag my other video that I did for the TEAS test. But I hope that this information helps you. Results were immediate. As soon as I took the test, I knew exactly what I had made. Please feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section. I will answer them to the best of my ability without getting in trouble. I wish you the best of luck on your test, and I will continue to document my journey trying to get into nursing school.